About to go hunting for some graffiti art.
Graffiti art. Isn't that just graffiti?
Still be out loving on the track, 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 out loving on the track.
Maybe just to keep it clean, yeah.
Yeah. Just because if it one song comes in and they hear that, you had this song on there. It's dude,
I hate that shit. Bro, my own fucking music. I post my shit and they're like, you don't own the rights to this music. I'm like, bro, like,
that's happening. You're not blame one.
Take my shit down. I'm like, fool, that's my shit. Like, come on, bro. Like, so whack. I hate that shit.
No, that shit is crazy.
It's showtime. Right. Just make sure all this is good. Alright guys, one first thing, cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for having us here at Street Life. We really appreciate it. It means a lot to us, and also it's gonna be a good time.
Without a doubt.
Cheers.
Alright. Let's start it.
We going?
Alright,
What, ready? Live? Alright. Welcome everybody to episode 4. We're living the moment here. We got Zane and we got Blame One, special guest at Street Life, and Curse here right now. We're in Escondido right now, live at Street Life right now, episode 4. How you guys doing today?
Super good, man. Thanks for coming over and doing this.
Of course.
Graffiti legend.
Excellent,
you know, the Esco King. And then we got the Oceanside King.
Right?
You know
That's
what
the
I
guy
mean?
right
We
here.
got Zane and
OG
Blame
County
One.
legends here, man.
Damn,
Straight
bro.
up represent. And honestly, I want to give you guys. Honestly, I want to give my gratitude to you guys. I've been living in Escondido, North County, my life, and honestly, you guys are legends for sure in North County.
Appreciate
that.
Thank you.
We know about your history, all the work you do. Not many people do that in North County, but what you guys did is honestly grateful for the city of North County because a lot of people know about it. And what you guys do, you keep going, and to this day, your work still lives on.
Hell yeah.
You know, someone just sent me a picture the other day of a tag I did in '97 under a bridge in Encinitas, and
It's still there?
It's still there. He
shit.
Someone took the picture, sent it to a friend of mine because he was here at the store, and I was like, "Damn, where is this?" And he's like, "Somewhere by the beach," and I was like, you know, '97 is not like that's super old, but I was like, it's still from the '90s.
Nah, that's old.
And I was like,
old,
hey, I was like, and it's still up for whatever reason. Why I was under this bridge and I only put a tag. I was a delivery guy, so I might have been over there and I just hopped out and caught a tag real quick. Who knows? I don't know. But just the fact that it still exists, it's like, and think about, you know, all the tags all over the country from people, you know, back in the day, and it just, for whatever reason, they just didn't get cleaned or gone over or whatever.
97?
It's a cool thing. 97, it's a
dude,
tag.
that tag already went to college. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy, bro.
That has debts already, bro.
I'm trying to get Biden to take off the fucking loan.
What about you, Blaine? What was the furthest tag you remember?
Oh gosh, I could tell you the first one that I ever did for sure. Like, I actually, when we were young, there used to be model paints that they would sell at Save-On, which was like basically like Rite Aid.
Yeah. Okay.
So Save-On back in the days was basically like a Rite Aid, and they would sell model paints at the store. And so when I was 12 years old, it's not the thing you really want to brag about, but I was already racking, and I would rack like little snacks when I was like in middle school. And then eventually, to me, anything to do with hip hop, I was in. So, you know, me watching, like, before I seen like ill shit like Style Wars or whatever, I was watching Beach Street and Crush Groove, and but the fact that they incorporated graffiti, you know, to me, I was like, oh man, I need to learn how to write graffiti. So I used to rack these little model paints, and in '87 I did my first throw ups that said Young Effort. That was me and my friend Coma's little rap group at the time. So that was my first dabbling in graffiti right there. But none of it still writing like Zane's old school joint.
Just got this picture the other day, and I was just, it's, you know, shit like that just gives you, it's like a surprise of like, dang, you know, what was I doing? Why was I there? What was going on? Whatever, you know. As a delivery guy, me and Demo were delivery drivers for a long time, and
that's perfect.
We were like, we would like have our own sort of mutual battles of, you know, hey, what did you do today? Dude, well, I was in Valley Center and fucking I put up a fucking throw up underneath some shit, you know, and then he'll be like, well, I was over by the beach and blah blah blah. And we would do these things, and a lot of times our deliveries were, it was repeat customers, so we would always be in certain places that had elevators and stuff like that, and we would always be trying to catch slaps or tags in places. Dude, I bet you have stickers in elevators that are still there because you get them inside the door where there's like no way, there's no way to even clean them. But we would just do that for each other. Like, hey, I know you're gonna see this when you're standing in the door. Fucking opens up. You're gonna see that shit. And but when you're a delivery guy, I mean, you're literally, you don't know where you're going to be that day. It depends on what the orders of that day are. Right. And so I think part of the reason that we were up a lot, you know, and people would be like thinking I probably was a loser and I didn't have a job and all I did was go tagging. But we were delivery guys, so we were like
tagging because of your
I mean, we could be all up on the coast, all up out in Fallbrook, Valley Center, wherever. And people would just be like, how do you have time to do all this fucking like tagging and stuff? And I'm like, dude, we're on the clock, man. I get it. We're getting paid for this right now, technically.
What were you delivering?
I worked at a flower shop. We worked so me and Demo worked at a flower shop, and it was a real famous flower shop here in Escondido that was like super high quality type stuff. It's called Rosemary Doves.
What was it at?
Right here on the corner of 2nd and Broadway. I don't know if you ever saw the murals. We used to do murals there all the fucking time. For all the holidays, there would always
be there for years. Huh?
Oh, forever. The family just barely sold it recently. Last year, but it had been in business for like 60 years or something.
Yeah, and it's the one with the girl and like all the flowers around.
Oh, did you do that mural?
Nah, not that one. I used to paint that flower shop a lot, though. I mean, I probably did like 30 murals on it, but they would say things like "Happy Mother's Day," "Christmas," whatever.
Yeah,
you know,
I know. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
The one like is it right here?
2nd and Broadway, right on the corner.
I know what you're talking
about. Right across from the phone company, that big phone company building.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
And so.
And rest in peace to Demo.
R.I.P. Demo, man. I mean, that guy was a beast.
His right hand man.
Really?
These two, like, you know, when I first learned about Zane and Demo went hand in hand. If you see Demo stuff, you're gonna see Zane, and those two, like, they were just legends.
That's like you and Coma. That's you and Coma. You know
exactly.
So Demo was your partner.
Demo was my partner. Yeah, he's basically the one who I was doing. You know, I think in the early days of graffiti, you know, sometimes you're doing it on your own, and then you find out other people you know were doing it. Like me and Demo were friends because of skateboarding. Skateboarding was how everybody really was friends.
Yeah,
we all skated. So when you know, it's like I'm a freshman at Escondido High School, period 1. I'm sitting next to a dude who's wearing a skate shirt like Powell Peralta or whatever. Yeah, and I'm like, oh shit, I skate too, whatever. But he's writing on his fucking notebook or whatever. And I'm like, oh, what's this guy doing? Oh, I do that too. Yeah. And then second period comes, and I meet another guy who's wearing a skate shirt. And Demo's shit was all pinned. He had like a punk rock fucking with safety pins on a black coat, and he looked all crazy. His hat already had like graffiti on it. And so what happened is lunchtime comes, and it turns out all these dudes that I had been meeting in all these different classes were all friends, and they all skated together. And I had just been new to the area, so they just I through skateboarding is how I would meet all these people. And I was already an artist. My mom's a talented, she's an artist. She's badass.
So it came to the family from where you come from.
Oh, totally. My mom was super badass. And but we would be hitting skate spots and putting up little tags, and then it just became one of those addictive things where it's like, hey dude, like we're not even going skateboarding like after school. We're going just straight tagging. Where are we going? Hey, what do you got? Like dude, before we even knew about streakers, we were using oil pastels Oil pastels look almost like they look almost
They have the
exactly
same
like
texture,
a streaker tag.
yeah.
Only they came in a zillion colors, and we were doing that. And then you end up going to downtown San Diego and meeting those kind of guys, and they put you on game of streakers, split streakers, fucking those ultra fat markers that use like the old eraser things with the deodorant and shit.
And all that.
And
remember, we had this conversation before, but prior to me knowing even what a streaker was, I thought it was a split crayon. So I went and I was like tagging with a crayon, thinking that's how you split it.
But you were figuring something out.
Exactly.
You saw it, and you're like, see, I think back and then, if you saw something, you had to try to figure out how to do it. Nowadays, you come to a store like this, and they're like, "Oh, we sell split streakers and markers and all this stuff."
Or just hit
And to me,
YouTube or whatever.
Now it's like you just Google it, and it kind of sucks because it took like you were talking about getting tester cans from the fucking save-ons. Dude, that's how you got tips back in the day, was off of little testers. Those those super clean outline caps, the best ones were off of testers. I ended up
the bombing caps on glass cleaner.
Dude,
I would come up on those, bro. I go to the store, just grab a bunch of them, put them in my pocket.
At a certain point, I wrote to tester. And I put on a piece of paper, and I mean, I made it all like try to be super official about how I'm an artist and blah 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 and all this shit. And I put all the different tips that I didn't want. Don't send me none of this shit. I took one of their tips and I put a big circle like with red with like all this stuff, and I was like, I want this. This came off of one of your cans. How can I get these from you? Dude, and like a couple weeks later, they sent me a fucking bag of tips. Dude, and I was like, oh. They gave me a bag of tips, and I was like, fuck, there had to be like it probably had to be a couple hundred. I was like, fuck, dude, because like it was getting harder to rack tester caps because they changed the packaging to where you couldn't pop the top of the lid off and all this shit. And so then I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Well, eventually I go through all those caps to get clogged, so I fucking write to them again. And they're like, nah. They were like, nah. But those, it's funny days of discovery and like you're saying, trying to make a crayon into a streaker or whatever, you know what I mean? We used to make our own fat caps because we'd be like looking at like red tips, right? The red caps. We're like, well, we'll take a razor blade, we'll cut them like this, we'll do that. And, because we were trying to like, you're looking at Subway art and you're like, how the fuck are they getting lines like this? You know, and then the next thing you know, you go to San Diego eventually a few years later, and these dudes are like, bro, you guys are fucking up. This is what you need. And we're like, oh shit, where do you get that? And the next thing you know about all this other stuff.
So Zane, you said that you learned art from as a kid, right? But you came to the family, right?
Yeah.
What motivated you as who you are today that started that art?
I would say
what was the first thing that sparked
airbrushing was like a big thing for me when I was a little kid. I've always been into t-shirts, which is interesting because 25 years I sell fucking t-shirts. But I was always into airbrushing t-shirts, like with the little palm trees, you put a silhouette of the sun, you put someone's name all cool. That shit was like everything to me.
That was huge.
And we would go to my friend's house and airbrush in the garage. We were just whatever. But once you've started when you change a color or you do this and that, it's such a pain in the ass, and you always have to keep these things clean. And if you don't keep your brush all fucking sick, it fucks up on you. And then all of a sudden you get a spray paint can and you got all the colors, and all you're doing is changing the nozzles, and it's airbrushing on a wall now. Bigger t-shirts, man. I'm doing this on walls. We don't fuck t-shirts.
Dude, so you basically got trained. That was like your,
and that's really probably even sometimes when I paint, even today, I think about like, well, what was I airbrushing back in the day? Like, I like that. I like to capture that old flavor still. I'm always kind of one of those dudes that's looking back instead of looking forward. Like, oh, what should I do next? I'm always like, oh, remember this? We should do that again. And sometimes I think that's a drawback as an artist, of always redoing art that you've already done. But I like it. I think when you have a style and you just stick with the style, stick with your style that you're known for, or whatever, and keep that moving. But it would probably have stemmed from shirts, really. And now my son is a shirt printer.
That's why you have your own shirts here with your product.
Dude.
So that's why it started off, because...
Totally.
Dude, how did you guys come up with your names?
My name was given to me. Well, my name wasn't even given to me. There was a writer from North County, probably the most influential writer that's ever been from this area, at least back in the day. His name was Kid Six.
100%.
If you met Kid Six back in the day, hey, I meet you. Hey, Jay, fucking, and Jay's like, oh, I write graph, and he's like, you're not Jay no more. You're fucking whatever.
Then that's
your name. That was your name. Well, there was a dude his Anthony G. I don't even know his. I don't want to say his last name just in case or whatever. But Anthony G was the first Zane, and he was given his name by Kid Six. Kid Six gave him his name, and me and Anthony
took it back and
were
gave
homies.
it to you.
Well, nah. So sort of that in a way. That's what happened. Is all these. So in Escondido, it was bubbling. Graph was bubbling. I mean, there was writers and if you were from Escondido, tagging and all this shit is cool, but you got to back that up with a fat ass piece.
This is the mecca of piecing.
This was piecing, and I mean, Kid Six was like, he was one of those dudes. He was kind of a big cholo. He was like, we used to call him
a gangster.
We call him the original tag maker because I mean, he really was about that shit even back then, and we were always like, "Fuck, man!"
About the art.
He was an Esco banger,
dude.
like,
if you pissed him off,
and then
if you pissed him off, he was gonna fucking punch you or whatever. He was just, but he really like kind of ran everyone in a way where it wasn't like he was your boss. But he was like trying to tell you, like, hey, you want to fucking be down with us, and you're gonna represent our area. You gotta really you gotta have skills. Which a lot of people don't fucking think today. You gotta have skills.
Back in the day was like that.
So Anthony and me, I don't. So everything's getting big, right? Graph is getting big. There was walls everywhere. They didn't have the buff back then, so there were pieces just like you would skate down the sidewalk, and there'd be a piece that you would see every day for like a year, unless the building owner painted over it himself. They just stayed there. Well, Kid Six was like the guy. Kid Six, Phrase, and another dude that wrote bass. Those three dudes had pieces, I mean, all over town. And Phrase is a straight sheriff now. It's really crazy. It's like you were the guy who helped like form the style and the way people do things today. And now it's like it's super crazy. But
now he comes in the store. He's like, Zane, get on the fucking ground.
Get on the fucking ground, dude. But so these guys, they held themselves in a certain way, and so it was getting known. Well, there was a dude in San Diego that wrote Zeno.
Oh, I remember. He was nasty too.
Yeah, clean. That guy's badass. Dude, Zeno's baby's mama is her family's from Escondido. So he starts coming up here with his family. This is in like 86, I think. Yeah. And he's crazy. Like, what is going on in Escondido? There's all these graffiti writers. They're doing pieces and shit. Yeah. I was not even in that circle of like those known dudes it would be Kid Six, Phrase, Demo, like though they were already like on a higher level. I was over here just tinkering around with my own stuff. But he takes that information back to San Diego, and this was like back when, dude, you couldn't even catch the bus to SD. Like getting to San Diego if you didn't have a car, it was hard. So we were in our own world. That's why I rep North County so hard, because I'm like, hey, dude, you don't even know. You have to fight people. Hey, dude, if we put NC, which was North County, dude, you're in San Diego. That means National City. You know, you can't be doing that. You can't be doing it. That's true. We were getting into some problems, but I didn't know that. I'm not a gang member. You know, what do I know? Yeah. And so, these dudes from San Diego come up, and it's like Saki and Dice. Imagine Dice One, right? When he was like a kid.
Dice One.
No, they're nasty.
So imagine those dudes who are like top.
These are best of the best.
These are the best of the best artists, right? Back then, Quasar being the guy that he was the boss of San Diego back then. And he would say, hey, go out there. He didn't even come himself. He told everybody else, go out there and fucking bomb Escondido and show them what's up. And they did. And the fucking cops and the schools and everybody they were tripping, because they were like, what the fuck just happened here? Kid Six and these dudes had made so much noise that it got to San Diego, and they came up, and it became like a thing where these dudes were coming up like every other fucking day, and they were just destroying Escondido because they were looking for Kid Six. They wanted to battle. They wanted to do all this stuff.
Right. So there was a graffiti war.
So then the high school, everybody who was a graffiti writer, or at least of a certain level of graffiti writer, went to Escondido High School. Not OG, not San Pasquale, fucking Esco. Right. It's got the worst neighborhoods. Yeah, it's got the worst neighborhoods. It's where all the fucking hood kids went. Dude, so the school split everyone up, and they sent Phrase to fucking Orange Glen, and Bass went to San Pasquale, and Kid Six and a bunch of other dudes get kicked out to Valley. Demo, I think, just quit. I don't even know. And me and this other dude that wrote verse were the only people left at Escondido High School. And so when they all got busted, he was like, dude, I'm done. This is too crazy. I'm out of this. You can have my name. And so everyone would always be like, because I'm kind of a weird dude or whatever. So Zane. Yeah. Zany, you're so Zane, whatever. So I took that name, and Kid Six was like, word, because, I'm the one who made that up. He's out, you're in. That's how the name came in. That whole story came about the stupid name I got. And then it just stayed that way for Well, shit, it's been probably
just
almost
grew
40
like that.
years.
It grew like
40
that.
years.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
40 years
I've
of
been
being
writing
Zane.
since '86, so I mean, we're
You got
getting
it
close.
branded on your arm too.
Oh, I
seen
got it
that.
tatted, yeah.
Man.
After I got busted writing graffiti, I was like, you know, fuck. My shop was next to a tattoo shop for the longest time.
I remember that.
And I was like just sitting there on probation, and the store was closed, and everything was just not going well for me. And
How much you get fined?
So I decided to
get Zane tatted.
yeah. Hey, what a great decision, right? So I did that. Dude, I don't even know. It wasn't. The money part wasn't even that much. You know, maybe like 10 or 11,000.
I mean,
it's a lot of money. No, it's a lot of money for sure. But
hefty.
I mean, dude, when they bust kids today, dude, they're talking about 50
Yeah,
G's.
yeah.
I mean, when they're driving you down the freeway, and the cop. We're going. So when I got arrested, I was with Coer. Me and Coer got busted. He used to work at Street Life, and we are in Escondido jail, but we're going to be transported to San Diego jail because it was a San Diego case. I'm not sure why. But
did you bond it in North County or was it San Diego?
freeways mostly from like I would
okay.
say probably
Yeah,
from
They own
like
that part of the freeway. That's why I got sent out.
We pretty much were
it
trying
depends
to
the
keep.
situation where you did it at. In the
Okay,
area.
that would make sense. We
Yeah.
were basically really
Yeah.
trying to keep the 15 from, I would say, I don't know, Mira Mesa area.
Yeah, that's more
from
San Diego.
Miramar
Oh, yeah,
to
that's
fucking
definitely Dago
Temecula.
right there. Yeah.
We were trying to keep the 15, the 78, the 5 from like say Del Mar to Oceanside. Like we were trying to be like this is our shit. This is our yard. You know, what I mean, we would go to Home Depot in those buckets, those 5-gallon buckets. You could fit 17 cans in a 5-gallon bucket.
Oh, okay.
So
you had your supply. You had
bro,
everything.
I'd get a bucket of
you
white,
had-
I'd get a bucket of black. Coer would get the same shit.
You were in labor, like I'm ready to paint
dude,
a
we were
fucking
racking
wall,
these.
bro.
I mean, you're racking 34 cans of paint at a time,
Yeah.
like maybe once a week. And I mean, because we were painting the freeway, because they
Yeah.
would buff our shit. And we would just go again the next day.
Yeah.
And
So when you drive, Zane, let's say you drive on the freeway and you look at the walls, and then when you just pass by, like, I can do a piece right there.
That wall.
Oh,
was
totally.
Like, you'd be like,
Every writer. Every writer thinks
Yeah,
like
like
that.
graffiti
Like,
right
writer
there,
looks
like,
at every
my
little
name's gonna be there
thing.
one day or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, everybody who does
Yeah.
graffiti.
all I
Blaine is
do
exactly right.
when I drive, like my wife will catch me like looking at something. She'll be like, "Oh, you're thinking about like painting that wall, huh?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's right. Yeah, for real."
Normal man drifting off thinking about sex or
Right?
some shit. You're
Yes,
over here thinking about
like,
graffiti.
You ever seen that meme where it's like
sure.
a dude sleeping and his wife's looking at him? She's like, he's probably thinking about whatever. He's like, I'm thinking of graffiti spots.
That's why I really
sure.
appreciate LA, because when you go through LA, like the 5
all
and
the
stuff,
art.
you see all these graffiti art just passing by every single
Oh,
day in
yeah,
LA.
for
and,
sure.
and the location where they do it at.
It's
like,
crazy.
how-
Time.
it's
It's
hard to
insane.
get up there.
Yeah,
Who helped you out? And like, bro, like,
How the
who
fuck are
didn't
you
notice
alive?
that? You know
How
what I'm
the
saying? Like,
yeah. Cats are
when I
wild.
see
Yeah.
a piece up there, I'm like, all right, I give you a props for going up there and doing it. I would even take it down. Like, nah, man.
Risking your
No
life,
man,
you
none
know?
of us is like to put a piece
Yeah.
up there. I'm gonna leave it there, and hey, let the whole world know and the 5 who you are, because you took a risk to do it.
Yeah.
Big time.
And
Yeah.
that's why I appreciate the art when it comes to graffiti, especially in Mexico. There's so much, like,
Oh, yeah.
every single corner. There's so many
graffiti's
murals,
a
like,
worldwide-
yeah.
A phenomenon
I mean,
now.
when you
yeah.
think about the art form,
Yeah.
something that barely started is something as super, I don't know what the word would be, but something just as rudimentary or as basic as just writing your name, like Steve 131, or,
Right,
you know what I
right.
mean, or something like that, to where it is now.
how it evolved. Yeah.
And you're talking about maybe 50 years. Think of oil paintings from like the 1300s and shit. Has
Right,
there ever been
yeah.
a movement like graffiti art?
Nah, there's
And
nothing like
where
it.
art within 50 years, it started as something that's so basic, and now, dude, people are doing hyper color, super photorealistic murals
Yeah,
that are like
that's insane, bro.
they're better than the real photo or whatever, you know?
The
Right,
evolution
right.
from
You know?
caveman paintings
Yeah,
to
evolution.
this
Yeah,
now.
it's the
Exactly.
evolution
You know what I
of this
mean?
art form, totally.
Yeah.
And I think for like us, our part is our area, because when you stop writing, it's over. Like you get forgotten about like immediately and it's on to the
Immediately, bro.
next.
Yeah.
They
And
buff shit out so quick.
Up
It's
here-
on to the next.
we're just trying to hold our area down, and
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Do you guys got any life or death stories, man? When it comes
I one.
Dude.
So you're familiar with Del Mar Yard? You know the
Oh,
Del
yeah,
Mar
of
spot
course.
by the
We painted it.
right? Hey, they got
Not too long ago,
They're up
yeah.
on it right now, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
well, we're at Del Mar Yard, and it's different over there now because they've made the trains that go through. I don't know. I don't know. They've fixed it up.
They're building. There's construction going on over there.
It used to just be dirt, like cliffs. And the train went through. And then everywhere where there's a bridge, you could paint under there. And this one's over by Del Mar Fairgrounds. Me and Nicer from AWR are...
Oh, shit.
He is from LA. He moved to San Diego. And I actually met him at that same exact yard. One day, we're fucking painting. Me, him, and Clip. We're painting the fucking Del Mar yard. Just doing little quickie pieces, whatever. The Amtraks go through there, and they will, if they see you, they will call the cops. Hey, there's kids, painting graffiti by the train tracks or whatever.
Yeah.
Dude, and we're painting. And all of a sudden, you hear someone coming, and it's a sheriff. And we're like, holy shit, there's 2 sheriffs fucking coming down the little dirt cliff. And we're like, oh, fuck. And, dude, there's an Amtrak coming. And we ran, people always say, oh, I barely fucking, made it.
Yeah.
But when you're there, and that shit really, you fucking really barely made it,
Yeah.
I was like, holy shit, you could feel the wind blowing you.
Right,
Jesus
Christ.
I was like, fuck, dude, was this even worth almost getting killed by a fucking train?
Yeah.
Dude, and we run up you have to climb up the dirt cliff right there, right?
Yeah.
We climb up the dirt fucking thing, and we literally ran behind another sheriff that was at the red light, turning to come to the bridge.
Jesus.
So, on top of my heart just pounding that we fucking just ran in front of a train going 50 miles an hour, we just ran behind a cop car who probably sees us in his rear view mirror. Like, we ran to the beach, took off our shirt and our shit, so we looked like we went in the water, I think, even, like, hey, let's pretend like we're boogie boarding. And we went down the fucking beach a little bit, and we're watching the road, because it was right, it's right next to Coast Highway. Fucking these sheriffs they were on that shit, and they took all our shit, dissed our pieces with our own paint, took our bags. I was
Damn,
like,
that's crazy.
Oh, bro, I lost a jungle green can that day, dude.
I love the jungle green.
That's a holy grail.
I don't even know why I would have something like that with me, but I remember, like, damn, dude, like, I just lost that shit. I was like, fuck. But that train situation was close.
So
this guy's probably got something falling off a bridge or something. This guy.
Let's talk about you, man. So what you like graffiti art, right? You said you were into that stuff too as well. Do you, you have your own pieces as well on the wall as well?
Oh yeah. Of course. Yeah. I've been painting like heavily since the early 90s. Like I dabbled in the late 80s doing little tags and BS, but since the early 90s I've been painting like pretty much heavily. I kind of fell back during a period in the mid 90s because I was so focused on my music.
Okay.
So like I kind of made the switch.
What inspired you? What was that first moment in your head that sparked one up and you're just like, this is what I gotta do?
You're saying as far as graph or music?
No, music, rapping.
Oh, as far as music, I started writing raps when I was 10 years old.
Oh shit!
And I never stopped. Unlike graph, I have my periods where I go super hard and then I might like fall back for a while and focus on something else. But with MCing, I started writing raps at 10 years old in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then when I moved out here, I was still rapping. When I met Zane, I think we were walking down the street one time and I was like, yo, listen to this rhyme, you know?
How old are you guys when you guys made each other?
Probably Zane's a little bit older than me, but at the time, like I think I was maybe like 16 when I met Zane.
I was probably 18 or 19.
Okay, so
somewhere
high
around
school
there.
times.
But this guy, he brushes over like, oh, I used to dabble with Graffiti. This guy fucking destroyed Vista. I dabbled. This guy's been arrested. It's been in the news.
Got arrested 9 times for graph.
Yeah, he didn't just dabble. He's been in the newspaper. He's been everywhere. He's fucking known.
You're most wanted, bro.
Yeah, he's known. This guy is known.
Blame me,
They blame you, bro.
Getting into the name thing, I'll tell you how I got my name.
Right.
So prior to being Blame, I wrote up tons of names, probably like 40, 50 names.
Jesus.
But the name I used to get up with prior to Blame was Hint. I was writing Hint and I was like really bombing the freeway super hard. Do full-blown mass hysterias on the freeway. Zane's seen some of that
that's
stuff.
how we got on he got on our radar, I guess you'd call it.
Right.
This guy was up. I mean, out of the blue, it was all of a sudden, who is this fucking guy Hint? He's everywhere, and he's fucking killing it. Because, the evolution of graph starts with tags and all this stuff. But this guy was like he was saying, he was doing The whole bridge throw-ups. Hit. He'd have like 10 throw-ups. He would have like 10 throw-ups in a row.
That's
I
nice.
remember like and being like, what the fuck? Nobody even did throw-ups back then. It was like 4 dudes could do them. And this guy was just like, you'd go to visit and you're like, fuck, we gotta find out who this guy is. And then years later, of course, we would end up meeting, becoming friends and all that stuff. But yeah, he was not dabbling. It was more like destroying. This guy was definitely going to like, hey, I'm making a name for myself and you're all gonna know it.
No, so when you dove in, you guys go balls deep.
For sure. We definitely went hard.
You can tell he doesn't do anything like, oh, I just fuck around. Like this guy got into reggae music. He had dreads. That's how serious he That's how serious he takes his
I'm
his
committed.
stuff.
I'm committed.
He's committed.
How long did you grow dreads out?
Oh gosh, I had dreads for multiple years, but my dreads never got like super long. I'd grow them till about shoulder length, cut them, grow them again, because I had those whack ass dreads. You know what I mean? Like some people have, like, if you ever see white dudes with dreads, some white dudes have nice dreads where you're like, damn, he pulled that shit off.
Yeah.
My shit was like real whack. You'd be like, man, that doesn't quite look right. So I'd chop it off and try again. You know?
That's so funny.
But going back to how I got my name Blame.
Yeah.
This will be a funny story. So my friend Dame, who is from MSK, one of the biggest graffiti crews, he's also from MH, which both Zane and I represent too. So my boy Dame, I went to high school with him, and when he used to write Trade back in the days before he wrote Dame. And so essentially, we've got some customers here. How you guys doing?
How's it going? Hey, this is my buddy Will. Come on.
How's it going?
We want to talk about, hey, this whole thing is about to get 10 times better now.
So, to make a long story short,
another one.
Dame and I, we connected at school. The first time he noticed I had a piece book at school, right? And so he was like, oh, you write? And I was like, yeah. I was like, you know, at the time prior to that, I was writing thin, which I got arrested for a bunch of times. And then I just switched the letters to form hint. It was like a little, you know, message to the police, like, I'm still here, fuck you. You know what I mean? And so I started writing hint. Me and Dame, the first time we kicked it, we got off the school bus at the same stop. I went and bombed the window of a gas station that was abandoned. He hits me up like, here, give me the marker, and he bombs it or whatever. Long story short, we went on a racking mission by the mall. And so we have met these kids, like some surfer dudes that they were trying to, now these guys were trying to dabble in graffiti. Some little dabblers, so we got rides from them, and they're like, okay, well, you know, like, we'll give you a ride to go racking. And so we went and we were trying to rack all these clothes, and I got carried away. So we had a truck waiting for us, and me and Dane went inside. It was kind of like a surf shop that was to the left of the mall.
You guys had one of those things that could undo the plastic clips,
yeah,
right?
We would take
I
off
remember
the alarms
that.
and all that.
You could place orders with him because he had the tool to take off that little hater thing.
Yeah, all that shit.
And I
That's
had
what I'm saying. He
one
really
for,
goes hardcore, dude. You can order shit from him. Like if you're like, hey, dude, I need Jordans, size of 10.5, whatever. You're like, all right, well, how much you got? You know, that's what these dudes were doing.
Yeah, and I had the thing to take off the cassette covers at the mall. So I had the clip that you just take off the cassette.
Sam Goody's at Warehouse. Remember
those?
Like,
so you get every tape.
Where do you get those for
well,
research
back
purposes?
then we would have to rack them from the store.
Oh,
we'd have to rack them from the store.
You
but
distract the employee of the store. You got to have a 2-man crew. Me and Devil would do this at Aaron Brothers or something. They'd be like, hey, you take the get the guy to go to the back while we rack all the markers.
Was my shit.
You know, he's got his racking partner. Hey, go distract the guy while I take the tool.
That's it.
See, these guys were working smarter, not harder. They're professional fucking at what they were doing.
So long story short, we do this run out. I have a shit tons of clothes. Way too many to be running out of the store. So I'm running. Dane dips out and he hops into the truck. I go and throw all the clothes into the truck and go leap for the truck. The truck's already starting to take off because somebody's chasing me out the store. So I go and hang on to the truck. I'm dragging, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, long story
We
short,
you're dragging like the car's taking
like,
off and
yeah,
you're holding
I'm
on.
holding on to the tail.
You're
Yeah.
holding on to the tailgate.
So long story short, I get arrested. I'm in the
shit.
store, and this girl comes out of nowhere and she goes, the police are there at this point, and she goes, I know the other guy that was here. And they're like, oh yeah, and she's like, I don't know his name, but I went to high school with him. I can go home and get my yearbook and bring it back and
That
show you.
snitch.
So she goes and
Superhero.
identifies Dane in the yearbook.
That sucks.
So,
What a bitch.
But with that said, everybody thought I snitched him out.
So
Everybody thought I snitched him out,
Speculations,
right?
yeah.
Damn.
So we get our court dates. I'm already in juvenile hall. I'm like weeks into being in juvenile hall. And Dame ends up, he's already telling fools that, I
fuck
snitched
this
him
guy,
out.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So Dame goes to court, and guess who shows up to court? The girl. And so he realizes, oh shit, like, he
My
didn't
boy's
snitch
straight,
me out.
yeah.
So in juvenile hall, I came up with the name Blame because I took the blame, And a lot of people thought
that's
I
sick.
started writing Blame because it was similar to my boy Dame's name, like his
okay.
letter style. But I started writing it because I took the blame. And so when I got out of juvenile hall at 17, I started writing Blame, and then I went apeshit with Blame. Like I
So
went
after
down
that,
with
you
it, dude.
discovered Blame. You took a career in the hip hop. Just kept forward with it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I was always MCing prior to that. Like, that was my first love, is MCing, for sure.
Oh,
so when by the time like the 90s came around, like I really started taking my MCing seriously and started releasing records.
That's when
and,
that underground and everything
Yeah.
started
Can I ask
really
you a
that-
question?
is that your-
I've
go ahead.
never even thought to ask you this because you, like you're saying, you've always been rapping. You're always doing that stuff.
right.
What was the point where it was like, dude, you're getting on paid dues. You're putting out. You're actually making CDs and cassette records and shit.
Right.
What was how did that happen? I've never thought to even ask you that. Because
Good question.
hey, I didn't see him for a chunk of years. Because I'm
Yeah.
telling you, he grew out dreads. He
Yeah.
started fucking rapping, and we were like, "This guy just went crazy. What the fuck? What happened to this guy?"
smoked a little too
I've
much.
always kind of been the same. I've always been doing graffiti and doing whatever. So years later, I'm with Evolve,
Right.
and they're
Okay, yeah,
playing,
yeah.
dude, one of my favorite fucking songs. It's called Graph Kings, and it's by Blame One.
Oh,
You know,
right.
and I got
shit.
introduced to that by Evolve,
That's dope.
Cubes, all these different dudes were like they were talking about you, but I didn't know they were talking about you. And then I was like, what the fuck? This shit is dope. How'd this happen? I knew he was making music, and then they're like, dude, he's at paid dues. He's got some shit on iTunes. You were #1 on iTunes at one point.
Yeah, at one point
What
I
was-
was
we
blessed
saw- we
to
saw your
get
discography,
#1
man.
on
What do you
All
think?
albums, man.
What was the
That's
point
really
where you
good.
went from like, hey, I'm just a guy from Vista rapping to like, hey, you're doing this stuff now?
I mean,
As for a
honestly,
living.
really, the main thing that I could pinpoint is investing in myself. And this is
Okay.
what I would say to
That's-
any artist. So
Right
I
there.
put out my first solo vinyl in 2002. Got it to all the DJs. I was selling it at Fat Beats and all these record stores. And that kind of helped me to like establish a name.
What
like
was
I
the
had
name of
to-
that album?
I had to go. It's called Finally the EP.
Finally, the
So, and I
EP.
called it
Check
that because
out.
it was like, finally, my EP
Nice.
is here.
But that was
you know?
you just going to record stores and saying, hey, this is me, this is my shit.
Yep, exactly.
And then it just went from there.
and it
Man,
just took off.
that's awesome because I've always been like, how the fuck did he do shit? You did a song with Sean Price.
Yeah,
You know,
Oh,
rest in
oh,
peace.
rest in
You know
peace.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm like, how did that happen? You know?
Yeah.
Because it's just like,
Yeah.
hey, you're a local dude, and you've always been like, you're just a nice guy. You're just,
Oh,
you're
yeah,
that
this
guy.
guy, no,
Me and this guy were at a
dude's
7-Eleven
solid,
one
man.
day.
You could tell.
We were at a 7-Eleven buying beers one day, and some guy that I know came up, and I thought he was going to say hi to me. He comes up to him, and he's like, "Hey, are you Blame One?" And he's like,
yeah, no, I'm saying.
Well, the guy was with
Blame.
his kid, and he goes, "Hey, this is the guy that I was just playing you his song the other day."
It was pretty
Just-
cool.
and
Yeah.
that,
shit.
it was so organic, and it was in a 7-Eleven. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It wasn't like you could plan it. And I just thought, damn, dude, your reach it extended so far. You know what I mean? But here, anybody can come up to him and be like, "Hey, what's up? Hey, let's have a beer or whatever."
This guy
He's
guy's
not
humble as fuck, man.
He doesn't have
this.
these. You can catch him at a yard still. You know what I mean? Like 50 years old. Here we are painting graffiti like ding dongs.
Local artists now that are in this generation where they're upcoming.
Right.
And they told me about you. They said you
cool.
are influential for a lot of artists in North County.
That's dope.
Because what you done for the city of North County and everything like that. So
I appreciate
they see
that.
the history. So I was like, yeah, Blame One is definitely the guy.
It's self-made, you know what I mean? Like that's so dope.
Yeah.
I mean,
he been through that, you know?
The primary thing is if you go back to the roots of hip hop, right?
Yeah.
Let's go back to South Bronx where hip hop kind of like originated.
Yeah.
It was a community based thing, right? So it spread to become this global phenomenon, but technically hip hop has always been a community based thing. So in the way that I try to carry myself is like I'm just repping North County, like Zane reps North County. We rep home. We're part of the community. Anybody can come in this store and soak up game from Zane, and he'll tell you history as far as graffiti or whatever. And I've always tried to carry myself in that same way of like, okay, well, if I bump into a younger MC, I'll put him on game, or if I really like him, then I'll collab with him too. You know what I mean? It just depends on the scenario, of course. And you know, like any other artist, I have to earn my money. So sometimes I might charge somebody, sometimes I might not. It just depends on the scenario. But Zane and I, we've always been part of this community, so I think we're just still repping our home the way tradition has carried on from that time period of back in the days. You know what I mean?
I mean, this guy has been kicking it at my shop sometimes, and people will roll in just to buy something. They think they're going to come in and buy something and leave, like a 5-minute transaction, and he'll fucking break it down to them, and next thing you know, it's 45 minutes later, and they're like in awe because of what he's telling them. You know, it could be anything. It could be music, art, whatever. But I think, and it's very important, and that's why I really, you know, I look to him as like he's like a brother to me in our world of,
for sure,
we are probably not the last, but we're there's a lot of people around, but we were there in the very beginning, and we're still currently involved with things. And when you see the perspective and you try to hone it in, you know, because scenes can get really out of control. I mean, look at how rap is today. It's like or whatever compared to what it is, and things have to change. But if you don't know your roots and whatever, and here's a guy just like me, you know, you can come into the store, hey man, like, I fucking heard blah blah blah, and you can be like, oh, it's true or it's not true or whatever, and get the real story from dudes who are still around to help keep the legacy of guys who are not here anymore, like Kid Six, like Demo, you know what I mean? Dudes who don't even live here anymore, like Coma. Dude, Coma was a big deal. That guy's an insane artist, and nobody around here probably knows because he moved away so long ago. But Coma was very integral in the scene here.
100%.
And there's other names too. There's plenty of names.
What part of North County was he from?
Oceanside. These guys are Oceansides right here. I'm Escondido, so you know we
Escondido all day,
we got
baby.
you know the coast, and we
to
got
Oceanside.
Vista's my home. I always say Vista's my hometown and Oceanside's my home. And Oceanside was technically the first place I moved to when I moved to Cali, but I grew up in Vista, and then I always had ties with Oceanside, like heavily. Like I've known L forever, since the early 90s, and I would be in Oceanside like practically 4 or 5 times a week. And that was home.
Oceanside,
you know?
is like a phenomenon that, like, unless you're in it, you just don't. It's a hard thing to understand, probably, because there is so much activity over there.
There is.
You mean you got the Marine Corps? The Marine Corps base is a big deal, right? So it brings its certain kind of thing. But you have Samoan people, Mexican people, black people, white people. It's such a melting pot of all these different kinds of people.
It's a pass by from LA, so people from LA pass by Oceanside.
When you're coming from LA, you stop in Oceanside to get gas, to eat, to whatever.
And back in the days, it was nothing but prostitutes. It used to be Hill Street.
Hill Street was
nothing but
fucking
prostitutes.
Sounds lit.
It was HK out here?
Sounds
I'm
good.
dead ass. That whole
Wish I was
strip,
born sooner.
that whole strip of Coast Highway that
HK
used to be
Oceanside.
called Hill Street was nothing but prostitutes on every corner.
Pimps,
fools,
I mean,
hustling.
real
Did y'all ever
pimps.
dabble?
With the silk.
Bro.
He dabbled. Yeah.
Just
I didn't dabble with the prostitutes.
But these guys, that whole scene.
Blame one.
You gotta, like he said in the scene, imagine when Coast Highway wasn't even Coast Highway, and all those streets with all the nice surfy names and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
It used to be 6th Street, 7th Street, whatever.
Yeah.
Hill Street.
Hood ass shit,
and
too,
these
back
pimps were
then,
no
for
joke,
sure.
man. I mean, they had the crazy cars, the silver suits. I mean, it was like you were only
Out of a movie. Like,
yeah,
for
it was
real.
like out of
Yeah.
a movie. And when you're coming from Escondido, it's like, hey, that's a 15-minute drive. We're going to the beach. And all of a sudden, you think you're in fucking Superfly, you know? Like, and it gets you excited because you're like,
Hey, for real though.
you know, it's
Yeah,
like
it was
graffiti
awesome
writing is
shit
one thing,
like
but
that.
just hip hop in general, when you're coming up like that, you're like, well, we're gonna go catch tags, but then we want to go get faded, and then let's go see what's up with over here, and da 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 da. Because the music store was over there, the music center.
Music Center
was the hub that had everything. Like back in the day, if you went to music
what
center,
year was that?
I went there
In the 80s?
I went there in the 80s.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
It was a music store on Hill Street that, like,
NWA performed on the sidewalk.
No
in
way!
front.
Dude, there's pictures.
No.
KRS-One. They had
That's
pictures
dope.
of all of that
When you
in
walk,
the store.
yeah, when you walk in the store,
Damn.
it's photos, Ice-T, King
Yep.
T,
You name it.
NWA,
Everybody
all,
made their
stop
anybody
there,
who
yeah.
fucking came
That's
to
so
sell their
dope.
own CDs before they had distribution or whatever,
shit.
they would fucking deliver their shit or whatever
Yeah.
it is. And there was a board, there was this big board, and it would have all these different names. Like, let's say it said Eric B. Rakim,
Yeah.
coming out August 25th or whatever. So you knew, oh, bro,
Come here
if
to
I
get
like
that,
that
yeah.
shit.
That's how rappers promote themselves.
Oh, well, you
Oh,
have to think about it.
All that, like,
Music
out there.
Center was the
So I'm
shit.
saying,
People
how
still
it is now
hated
is
hip hop,
diff- it's
bro.
so much different.
Way
Yeah.
Like,
different.
Yeah.
people really didn't like hip hop.
No,
Like,
they
in
didn't.
general.
They didn't.
Like, the public was like, first of all, they were like, this is a fad. It's
Yeah.
gonna be gone in 5
And the
years.
stuff you're talking about, you know, thinking like Two Life Crew and shit like that. You know, do you
Yeah.
think your mom wants you hearing about
No,
like
hell
fucking
no.
bitches?
And that's how the
you know,
name hip hop
doing-
came, because they will make fun of the hippity hoppers.
Yeah, I
because
mean-
they be break dancing to the hip hop music, and so it just became a thing where we adopted the name, and it's
Yeah,
like, this
yeah.
is hip hop.
Take
Y'all want to
something
call
negative,
us
turn it
hippity
into a
hoppers,
positive.
and it's hip hop, and we owned it, and it just became its own thing after that.
Well, they literally at that time, there was very few stores that rappers could go to promote an album
and do signings and shit.
because there wasn't a bunch of stores that were down with hip hop.
Yeah,
like
Warehouse
that.
wasn't
That's
carrying
crazy.
hardcore like NWA stuff.
It's hard
in
to
the
believe
early
that
days,
nowadays.
when
Yeah,
it was
oh,
when
yeah,
it was not
for
even called
sure.
NWA, it was called whatever they
Yeah, NWA and the Posse back
were. Right.
then. Yeah,
When you were doing stuff like that, and the guy, he was this huge, big ass white dude.
yeah.
And he would have pictures with not even just the rappers,
everybody,
but
yeah.
with all their girls, dude. And
Oh,
it was
yeah.
super funny. He would be all up on them.
Like
and
Darlene,
yeah,
Ice-T's
Ice-T's
Darlene,
chick,
yeah.
And,
Oh, yeah, Darlene, okay. Yeah, I know. Chick,
And
yeah,
you
I know
could
about
go
that.
It's
there.
fine as shit back then. Too,
You could
bro.
go there
Like,
on
uh-huh.
any like
Changed a lot now, huh?
Hey, right? If you went to Music Center on a Saturday morning, you were gonna bump into someone that like wrote graph or was into like
Yeah,
this type
yeah.
of scene. And so for us, it'd be like, hey, we just met some dudes from Oceanside. That's tight. Now we can get put on to go to yards because, dude, there was always
Yeah.
beef between the North County towns, and
Oh,
you could
yeah,
get jumped or
for
whatever.
sure.
But
Yeah.
Music Center was integral spot of hip hop right there, and me and Demo were about to get to paint that. I mean, we were begging that dude basically, like, hey, just let us paint in here.
Yeah.
And there was like, you know, one of those like storms where they say it's like 1 in 100 years or whatever. The biggest fucking storm came and fucking the roof crashed in on the building, and that was
man.
basically the end
end
of
of
Music
it,
Center.
yeah.
That was how it ended. And we were like, dude, we were about to get up in Oceanside. To us, getting up in Oceanside was like, hey, for one, going to like the Harbor Yard.
Yeah.
dude, you could go to Harbor Yard, rock a production, and get out with no problems. That's a good day.
That's a good day. Nah, because-
My art is character driven, but I'm mostly a surrealist. So a lot of surrealism involves very dreamlike states, what is beyond reality. And for the surrealists, what their ultimate goal was, well, how do we experience life beyond? How do we even get closer to the human experience without it being biased? And for me, it was about observation. It was about understanding like where I come from, where other people come from, and really trying to just people watch, observe, and be very, very empathetic to someone's experience, where I can translate that through different lines, different colors. But with my work, I kind of translated that through mechanisms and botanical objects and anatomical objects, so that everyone could relate to the story. Because it was always human related. It was always human experience and emotion related. But it wasn't specific to a certain person. So that's why I took out all of the layers of what makes a human, which are the eyes, the hair, types of skin color. That wasn't important. It was, do we all know what sadness feels like?
Yeah.
Do we all know what it feels like to be stressed out? And that involves a lot of observing how people carry themselves when they're going through something. And so that allows different people to relate to the same painting, whether it's this young girl who just felt sadness for the first time, or this grown-ass man who's been dealing with sadness his whole life. And so that was always like an awesome way I can introduce humanity in the paintings.
Definitely dope way to represent to the painting. So what was your full name again?
Oh yeah,
Everybody
Mary
knows?
Jhun.
Mary Jhun.
Yeah, Mary Jhun.
So we're at Mary's art show here, a little artwork.
Yeah.
So tell us about, let me ask you a question. What's your favorite art we have here? What's the one that stands out, one for you that you like to see all the time? And
Oh man.
And you like.
Oh shit. Okay. So it's not actually here anymore. But I have a print of it.
Okay.
So one of my favorite paintings I've ever done. Was this painting specifically. It was called Natural Intruders, and I made it in 2019. And it was pretty much trying to understand how natural elements and also life has an expiration date, and also how my fear of, like everyone's fear of dying, or at least my personal fear of dying, I wanted to cope with it. And in order for me to cope with it, I had to go through it with my art. And so letting the natural elements sort of eat the character alive in a beautiful way made me realize, like, well, when I'm down in the ground, nature takes over. I can't help it. And I had to just cope with it. So I wanted to paint that story.
The colors stand out really well.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's
I don't
very
have that
nice
painting anymore.
Oh, you don't have it anymore? Did you
No.
sell it or?
Yeah.
Okay, somebody bought it for. Hey,
Yeah.
at least somebody's at the house.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. So you sell all these individual ones.
Yeah, so anything that
Oh.
has a red dot that is still the true painting, that's
Yeah.
all going. The ones that are sleeved are the ones that sold already, and then I was able to make prints of them.
So who is this character called? Do you have a specific name for it?
So they used to have a sort of like a phrase name.
Yeah.
It used to be called The Weight of Memories, because they were kind of the base of every feeling and every memory I've had, whether it was a memory of how I observed people or whether it was my own memories. But every time anyone went to my studio, I came from Barrio Logan, so every time people would come in, like, you know, constantly they would be like, "Oh, it's your girls. It's the girls. It's Bola." And I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna call them the girls, even though sometimes they're more masculine, sometimes they're more like childlike.
Yeah.
So you can't tell. So I just called them the girls, just because.
The girls. So these are the girls then.
Yeah, the girls. Yeah.
No, so how many?
Even though sometimes they're dudes. Same.
Do you have how many? Do you know how many girls you got specifically for each character? Or all the same?
Oh, okay. So I actually was telling a customer that was just here. So I paint every week, and I've been
wow.
yeah. And
How long have you been painting for?
since I was like 8.
8 years
yeah,
old.
dude. Yeah, but this
Yeah.
specific character I've been painting since I was 15. So they've been around for almost 20 years, because I'll
20
be
years.
35 in September.
35 is 10. You don't look 35 at all.
Oh, thanks.
You know,
It's my Asian genes. No, I'm playing. But yeah, no, I've been painting them for almost 20 years.
Yeah.
And so it's like, sometimes I'll paint more than one a day. Sometimes I'll do one out of like maybe 4 days, but it never really exceeds that amount. It's always like, oh, I'll paint 1 or 2 a week. Yeah.
And then once you wake up and start painting, just you set in the mood and you're ready to go from there.
Yes.
So what's the first motivation to get you going? Just get this first artwork.
Oh, waking up, because a lot of the time, since I'm a surrealist, the most natural thing you want to do is take the dream that you had and just carry it over.
So you see the dream and then you wake up and
Yes.
then you go from there.
Yeah, and it's like, it's not that it's like, it's weird because it's like we're not trying, at least me, I'm not trying to blow up like, oh, dreams are cool. It's more like, well, I felt something while I was asleep. What the fuck? Like, I might as well put it down on paper.
Yeah, definitely.
And so that's always been really cool for me to use as gas and tools to be like, well, I made up something while I was sleeping. Let me go to my studio and fucking paint this. You know?
And when you see the dream, do you already start visualizing everything? You already see like what's going on and like,
yeah.
Or do you just see the images like as you go out through the dream?
So I mostly feel it first, and that's kind of what allows the paintings to be made. Since I'm a more spontaneous painter, that's why I was talking about street art to start with, because as a spontaneous painter, it kind of reminds me of street art. You have to flow properly with what you're, So the moment I wake up, I always ask myself, not like verbally, but I'm like, dude, how am I feeling? Holy shit! Like, let me go to the studio. And the moment, if it feels that intense, I have to go and paint it. And very similar to street art, I don't want to plan anything. I just need to go. I just go with it, because I can do these girls in my sleep because they've been around for so long.
And that's the best thing about art, is that nothing's planned with it.
Yeah.
Nothing's planned about
Like
art. You just go with it.
Some people plan it, but you can tell when it's all just from just raw emotions.
Yeah, it's all raw emotions. Yeah.
Because, like, it's like humans are smart. They know when things are so much more natural than a planned piece. And I make the girls as spontaneous as possible. And then from there, I start to build, because the moment I wake up, it's like, you know how you're feeling, whether you're stressed out from that badass dream or you're like, oh, what the fuck was that? And then you go into the painting feeling really raw, and then you start planning it because you're starting to cope with the dream. You're starting to assess the dream. So then that's when I start really planning out what the whole image will look like. But I build from that singular line of the girls, because that's the most important part, because that's the starting line. Yeah.
Well, Mary Jo, thank you so much for having us. Honestly, we might want you having the podcast one day.
I'm down.
You know what I'm saying? Because we want to continue. I want to keep talking about the whole dream aspect. It seems a very, very open person, and we always talk about that on the podcast a couple times, where, you know, being self-care, open, third eye, dream, all that stuff. So we'll maybe contact future shows might see in the podcast.
Oh yeah.
Then we can show more of the art. Maybe we can.
Oh, there's more.
Maybe we could do a podcast while you do art.
Oh, dude.
Something like that. That would be cool.
Like, this room is literally like 2%.
So is this your? I did my own shows, and we did our first hip hop show. All of us here at Pounders. It was called The Zoo.
Nice.
We did our own hip hop show, man. We had local MCs that were all coming from North County.
Yeah.
I had a DJ. I also had MCs, and I also had open mics.
Okay.
This is before COVID.
Right.
So everything
2 weeks before
yeah,
COVID.
So when we did this at Pounders, man, we got a lot of people showed up unexpectedly.
It was sick.
It was on Wednesday.
Okay,
Wow.
nice,
Wednesday,
nice.
man. And we promoted it, and a lot of people showed up, and
Dope.
MCs, and people were loving it, dude. We were
Dope.
rapping at Pounders. When do you ever see a rapper
Exactly.
pull up Pounders?
Yeah, man.
And
They
you
got
know
that
what?
perfect little stage too,
Yeah,
bro.
we
Hey,
did
and
that
what's the
shit.
spot
We did that
now?
shit, yeah.
Fucking Cowshed, where I met all you guys.
Karaoke night.
That's where it's cracking off now. Is that
we did that shit,
Cowshed?
man.
Yeah.
And fucking COVID hit, man. And like ever since that, just the momentum of the group I had to
I
be in
got
Zoo
you.
just
It
split it up.
dispersed, yeah.
Right.
Hey, at least you're keeping it moving, because look at all this.
But
You
we
guys
have-
got equipment,
but
you
the
got a
same
team.
crew we have here, so it's like
Yeah,
we're
we're starting to back up. Everybody's
because-
feeling that fire
yeah.
again. We're like, you know what, man? Fuck the bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, time is moving forward. We want to do something with our lives. We got talent. We got passion. We got heart. We got the connection. We got good people around us. I think that's the most important thing, is
Yeah.
having
Gotta have a
good
team,
people
for sure,
that,
yeah.
that you know that they ain't gonna snake you. That they're always like gonna be down for the movement.
Yeah.
And so that's what we got right now. We're like, you know what, man? Let's just run it, bro.
Yeah,
What's stopping
yeah.
us? It's like literally nothing. I mean, money, but you know,
That's
we're
always
working
an issue.
to it.
Money
You
is
gotta
an
work.
issue.
You
For
work.
anybody.
Yeah.
The most important thing
Anyway.
is that we had the group still each other.
That's
Yeah.
good,
We
yeah.
believe
We got a solid
like
group.
how
yeah.
you guys believe in your craft and how you guys do your thing. We feel the same way, but we are the new
Yeah.
generation.
You guys gotta
from
give us a
this.
christening right
Exactly.
now.
Oh,
right
man,
Exactly.
for sure. Yeah, wait.
I know, right? Hey, one of your shows, Live from Street Life, you know?
now. Bro,
It's like the weirdest
man.
shit has happened at this store throughout all the years.
Oh.
Hey, we're filming a show. There was a pool table here. It's what, you know, whatever.
Well, Black,
Fucking somebody
question.
rode a
So you said
motorcycle in here
you,
one day.
MC, right? So I want to question. You've been on tour and stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I never really toured like that. Like,
Yeah.
I would do like circuits more or less than touring. You know, I would go on like 6-7 show runs and then come back home, because my priority was always my kids.
Okay.
You know, so by the time that I got like buzz going and I had like my name out there, then I had young kids at home.
Priorities.
And I never wanted to be that dad that was gone for like 3 months and then come home and the kids are like, who the hell are you? You know what I mean? Like, I just never wanted to do that. So I always kind of just did like little spurts of doing things and then come back home and, you know, do what I got to do. As far as...
You had your kids young?
My kids are grown now.
Yeah, grown. How
Yeah,
many
my
kids you
kids
have?
are grown. I have 2 kids.
2 kids? Okay.
Yeah, my daughter's 20, my son's 18. So
Okay.
my kids are young adults now,
Yeah.
you know. But at the time when I was actually had something going on for real, you know, they were really young, like 4 or 6 years old. You know what I mean? So I didn't want to be away for long periods of time, and I'm glad that I wasn't. Like, that's a sacrifice that I made. Could I have probably like catapulted to another level? Possibly, yeah. But at the same time, it was totally worth it to me 1,000% to make sure I was there with my kids.
No, and the
Family
fact
is the key,
The
you
fact
know?
is that you still did what your heart was telling you to do. Because at the end of the day, fame and success is 2 different things.
For sure.
You know,
Yeah,
so it's
for
like
sure.
you still succeeded in what you were trying
It's
to
a
do.
big sacrifice.
You know, and
Yeah.
you're still making music.
Of course.
Yeah. So you know what I mean. So
Forever.
that's always gonna be a part of you,
Be
man.
that
And then-
80-year-old man on Instagram and shit. They're like, yo, they're gonna be like, damn, this old man still rocks.
There's actually a man that's 70 years old to this day.
Yep.
That streams video games.
Is that
And
right?
he's making money off that.
Damn,
Nice.
that's crazy.
Yeah,
Isn't
so
that
it
crazy
doesn't
what you
matter
can
at
do
this
these
point.
days?
I know. It's
You can get
wild,
paid
yeah.
running a
Yeah,
meme
exactly.
page.
How much
on-
longer are you gonna be running Street Life?
You know, I don't know, because I used to joke around. So, I mean, the store sort of happened by accident.
How'd it
Because I
happen?
had a job. So after the flower shop, I was a delivery guy for a medical thing. And I kind of thought that was going to be my life. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get in the medical business. Everyone's
Damn.
dying every day, so it's a good job, you know?
You gotta be
It's
a
not
nurse
going
or-
anywhere.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
going nowhere. And I think fortunately in my life, like with the flower shop and the medical, it's called the apothecary. It's like, so when I was in high school, I used to work at Montgomery Wards, right? Okay, that's a nationwide, huge ass thing, right? So you
Right.
have a manager of your department, a manager of the store, a manager of your area, blah, 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 all this corporate shit. When I quit, I used to work in the paint department, so I used to make my own buff paints and shit back in the day.
damn, that's
Oh yeah,
dope.
bro, it was the shit. Like,
This was at Montgomery Ward.
yeah,
though,
I know,
bro.
right?
Yeah.
I started aging myself right there. But so when I worked at the flower shop, you're working with the bosses. The owner of the place is like working next to you, and you get to kind of get that sort of influence
family vibe
of
too,
like,
right?
hey, this is what it's like to work for yourself and how you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was like, you know, I can't be fucking delivering flowers. What am I, a kid? I got to get a better job. So I'm going to get in the medical thing. And I became a driver doing that. Well, the owner of our business, he was the main guy behind the pharmacy, and I got to learn what it's like a day-to-day life of someone who runs a company.
That's
and
dope.
when he wanted to retire, he was like, "Hey, man, if you guys want to, you know, use the fax machines and the whatevers to fucking get new jobs or whatever, it's all good. I'm trying to get out by the end of the year." He was really upfront with all of us. And I was like, dude, I'm not even trying to get another job. Like, I want to start my own job. I like what he does. I want to do that too, but in my own thing. And I rented a space in the indoor swap meet here in Escondido.
The one that's over there?
Remember it was called Discount Mall?
Yeah.
AKA Ghetto Mall?
Yeah.
That's where the store really
And
started.
it still runs to this day. bro.
And I
It's crazy.
told
Yeah.
my boss, like, hey, dude, I'm gonna start my own store. And he's like, dude, you should, because he always saw me doing art. And on the weekends, I was making shirts. I'd be at car shows and printing shirts and doing all this different shit. And he gave me a list. I gotta find it. I know I have it somewhere. And he was like, it says essentials of running a business. And he wrote me a list
Damn.
of things. It's like, hey, you follow this shit and you'll fucking make it.
That's
How much-
jewels
how much
right
money-
there.
Yeah, it was hella
Damn,
game.
bro, that's
How much
jewels
money
right
did you
there.
need back in
And
the
this
day?
dude, when I started the shop, I needed the money to pay the first month's rent. It was like $400.
Shit.
Dude, I literally brought if you came to my house back in the day, my house was like a street life. If you came into my bedroom, I already had hookups on tips. You know, I told you earlier in the episode we're talking about testers. Well, I eventually found the company that actually makes tips, and I was buying when you buy caps, they come 14,000 in a box. So I order a box of New York Thins, a box of New York Fats. They're not even called caps. The real name's called actuators. And
Actuators.
So I was that dude.
I never knew that shit.
I was doing back in the day. Stores used to price match. So if Lowe's had something on sale and Home Depot had the same thing, they would say, "Hey, we'll price match. We'll match their price and give you 10% off if they have the same shit, right?"
Yeah.
Well, computers were kind of new to me anyway about Photoshop and all that kind of stuff. But I learned how to make my own fucking coupons. And I would fucking make Krylon ads that said 99 cents or 79 cents or whatever it was, and I'd print it out and I'd fucking tear it, make it look like ripped it out of the newspaper. And I would go to fucking places like Target and I'd be like, "Hey, I want to buy a can," and I buy a couple cans for let's just say 99 cents, right? So now I have a receipt from Target that says Krylon, 99 cents. I'm going to take that actual real receipt from Target now and go to fucking Kmart. And I'm going to get fucking price match plus 10% off. And 10% would be like 9 cents. So now I'm buying Krylons for 91 cents.
That's the hustle right there.
Hey, then I take the Kmart receipt and I take it to fucking Sears and you get 10% off. Well, I would do this until I would get an actual receipt that would say 72 cents or something like that. And I'm like, okay, that's about as far as I'm going to be able to go. And then I would go to Michael's art stores at the time had the most Krylon colors.
Yeah, by far.
Some stores only had certain ones, but
They had a
Michael's
full cage of
Michael's
Krylon.
had
Yeah,
all of
yeah.
them. Well, fuck, I roll up with a coupon for fucking 72 cents. I'm gonna roll up with $300 or $400 and buy all of them.
Yeah,
and they would be pissed, and I would be able to. I did that. I could do it here. Then I would run it over in Oceanside. I would do it in fucking Carmel Mountain.
Damn.
And so when you came to my house, all these cans that are back here, I had fucking racks in my dude. I don't even know how I could sleep in my bedroom. I had so much paint. My dad worked for Caltrans, and so if you're not from California, Caltrans means California Department of Transportation. Those are the dudes that maintain the freeways and the highways. And so
going over our shit.
buffing our shit. So me and my dad had a lot of issues as far as because I would have friends at my house that were painting freeway signs like Weapon and fucking Weapon and
Pops was
Skull.
the Caltrans guy, bro.
Right,
That's
dude.
crazy,
and
bro.
So dudes would come to my house because I had a pool and we'd go swimming. I had a half pipe. We were skating, and my dad would be looking at us. He'd be like, you should see what these dudes do in San Diego. They paint the freeway signs and shit. And I'd be like, shut up, don't say nothing, because it was all my homies that were fucking doing it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't even know where I'm going from there, but fuck, I'm thinking about my dad now and everything. He's passed away a couple years, and I'm like, man, it was so crazy times. And you're thinking about shit. Times are going by.
To make a long story short, the list that Zane's previous boss gave him to run a successful business, Zane gave the same list to me, and he said how to be a rapper. And he gave me that same list. Now I'm just fucking with you guys, bro.
I'm gonna be like, yo, let me get that list. Let me get that list. I need it.
You would literally catch this guy at the pier. He would be, because Coma. Hey, we would always go there. Coma could break.
Yeah,
I couldn't break, but I had a mini truck, so I'd be having the music, I'd have the tunes, and then he'd be like, "Oh, me and Blaine were over here the other day. He was fucking rapping in front of whatever. This guy will rap in a Wendy's. He'll rap anywhere. At the donut store in Vista.
Oh, for sure.
The donut store. There was a donut shop, right? Yeah. The donut shop in Vista.
That's Ras shop.
That was that was another hub.
Hip hop hangout.
Hey, and not only that, the hardware store.
Oh, music,
uncles. SSK. There was a store in Vista called the Hardware Store.
It was a graffiti shop.
It was the original graffiti shop of our area, at least, because
it
was all painted with graph. It was super bombed up. They were printing shirts in there, but he was selling tips and streakers and graph mags and whatever. It was kind of a bummer because those dudes weren't really from graph, but they supported it, which I think is cool. Yeah, I sometimes get
because of music, basically.
Yeah, because of music. That's his uncle.
Is there a 16 you'd be down to drop right now?
Oh shit! All right, if you put me on the spot, I'll drop something real quick. I'll drop one that everybody pretty much knows.
Okay, do it. Acapella?
I don't care which chick, jock, a famous rich hip hopper. Phantom of the opera type, slick witch doctor, mad scientist. Props with the verbal, I'm current. Almost 33, homie, yeah, hell of endurance. Young veteran, chop off the dome and take the head of men. Young bucks know me and X are much better blend. I like to set a trend, never try to follow fools. Knowledge, wisdom, overstanding, son, never hollow jewels. Swallow bottles full throttle like a menace. And mash around Cali from Diego to Venice, let me replenish. Far from finished, young apprentice. Coat on the floor, drop science in a sentence. Broken beaker got you open through the speaker. Cats approach the eye like we were hoping you were weaker. Nah, call me teacher, fam, fuck what you heard. Master of words, word, I'm mentally disturbed. I walk around like I'm wearing a crown. Talking to the Casio and I'm staring them down. Chilling with my man Zane and I can't complain. We just kick it back, no refrain. Your man Blaine.
That shit was fire.
That's fire, bro. Fire,
bro.
Hell yeah.
Dude, I'll send that to
That's
you.
the blessing.
That's
That's the
dope.
blessing of MC. I respect that as MC. Is like when I tell you open a spot.
I mean, can
I
you we
got
all
you, man.
agree
I'ma
that like
fucking get
bringing
down
blame
with
into
shit, man.
this shit is like
Yeah,
the
it's so
fucking icing on the
legit.
cake?
God,
Of like,
man.
come on.
I'm the cherry.
Listen to the way he
Too
tells his story, bro. Fucking love it.
Spread that motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yo, and now going back to that bar that I just dropped, that was my verse from the song I did with Sean P. And if you hear in the verse, I said 33, I'm 49 right now.
Oh, okay.
So that's how old
Hey,
the song
could
is.
have fooled me, bro.
That's
Could have
what's
fooled me.
up. Roots, man. This guy's some roots. Jeez, that's dope.
All right, guys. I think it's a good time to wrap it up. You know what I mean?
Wrap it up now?
Yeah.
He's like, nah, we're gonna keep going. Hey, man, we got another 12er.
Episode 2 begins now.
Yeah, we got another 12er in the fridge. Let's get it cracking.
Oh, we still got time. Now we got more or what?
Yeah, you can go more.
Come on.
Yeah, bars.
For sure.
We're living the moment right now, man.
I know.
Living in the moment,
That's what
right?
it
I mean,
is
can you
about,
imagine
man.
putting someone on the spot and be able to do that?
Yeah,
I
like,
can't do that shit. Like,
this type
fuck.
of things, this is why we do live in the moment, man. It's the type of things that I expect from you. You know, like I said,
That's dope.
I'm at Zane at Cali Shed. We were bonding, talking
Dude,
about
we were
who
wilding
we
out
are.
that night. I mean, I can't believe how many people were at that bar. And what did I tell you? What was the first thing I said when you guys were talking about North County? Something I said, we got to bring blame in on this. I might have called you from the bar.
I think I saw a late night call from you. I was like, yo, what the fuck is
I was all, bro. Because, hey, your guys' energy all at that bar, and I don't know what was cracking that day, but it was going on. That
Whatever
place
it
was
was
packed.
Yeah.
And it was just, it was dope.
When I finally found out the info, Zane's like, hey, bro, like, I already told these cats that you're going to come do this podcast with me. I'm like, okay, cool. You know, like I said,
I could
Zane,
tell he didn't even want to do it because he's like, hey, so, like, you know, what are they about? Like, this and that. He's not trying to get the 411. He's not trying to do no whack shit, you know?
Zane's
I'm
like,
like, it's too late.
Some dudes I met at the cow shed. I'm like, oh, fucking shit, bro. Oh, my God,
It
God.
be like that.
Hey, but it worked out, right?
So now you see it, and we told
I
you.
love it.
What do you think about it?
It's
You love it?
dope. It's
Okay,
dope.
that's what's
Yeah.
up. Yeah,
We got blame ones.
That's what's
Blessing.
up.
I love your guys' whole vibe of like, hey, we all chipped in, we bought all the equipment, we all hang out, we do shit together.
Yeah, I love your guys' crew vibe is obviously you guys have
they
like
all
a strong
know each other.
bond, and I like it.
Longtime
You know what I
friends,
mean?
super cool, you know?
It's all dudes we've known for a minute. I've known this fucker for 10 years.
Yeah.
I know this guy for over 10 years,
Yeah,
15
yeah.
years. Known this guy for like 5 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, what up,
What's up,
dude?
what
You
up,
know
what
what
up?
it is. We out here.
What up?
Yeah, we knew everybody for many years. Like we have a dream, man. We all want to make something happen for ourselves. Everybody's talented in our group. You know what I'm saying? We have rappers, we have producers, we have DJs.
I mean, imagine if this turns into something super big, and we were able to help be a little part of helping move that
Or a
forward.
big part,
Then
man.
it
You
tells
never
our
know.
story.
Yeah.
And if we don't tell our story, who's going to tell the story?
Exactly.
But
You know?
that's why we wanted.
And I don't try to make a
You
big
know?
deal, but like our area, dude, people put in work.
Yeah.
And I in the names of like Demo and Kid 6 and other people who have passed on, who were the
founder.
They were in the forefront of the scene. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, hey, I want you. You don't want their names to just be forgotten for
You
nothing.
gotta honor these.
You know, and there was
dudes,
yards that people don't even
100%.
know about, like,
Yeah.
you know, Circle K, fucking, you know, the Circle K yard, in
Circle
Vista.
K yard, classic.
People
yard.
probably don't even know that the toll bridge.
the
you used to
area yard.
You used to have to pay to cross that bridge.
Oh,
and if you
yeah.
rolled up, hey,
Yeah.
sometimes I would literally only have fucking change in my car,
Yeah.
and I'd throw it in there, and when the gate would start to go up, I would
just dip.
I'd have to go super
He
quick
knows about that for
because
sure.
if the money wasn't right, the thing would go down.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and people don't even know College Avenue. That was a toll bridge. You had to pay to go on that.
Yard, so there used to be a toll bridge when you enter into the Deep Valley.
Yeah.
So when you're in Oside, if you went into the Deep Valley, you used to actually have to pay a toll to go into the Deep Valley. L's from the Deep Valley, so he knows
So
what the
he
hell I'm talking
knows.
about. But we used to paint underneath that toll bridge, and it was a gangster ass spot to paint, bro. Like
And there'd be cops on the top.
you have
'cause they're
Deep
taking
Valley
money.
Crib, Deep Valley Blood, Mesa, all that right there. So if you're painting down there, bro, back then you would get banged on, dude, like hard. And so just
That's
to
what I was
even
saying.
paint
Oceanside
yards
is
like that was like
it's
crazy
a mission
back
over
in the
there, bro.
days, dude.
That's
yeah.
why for us to get over there, paint and not get fucked up was like, whew, we made it. We made it one more time.
And then you
our
got
shit was gonna
strikes.
get,
You
and
know
our
what
shit
I
was gonna
mean?
get dissed
You
no
got
matter
your
what.
shit, yeah.
Our shit was gonna get dissed no matter what. But you keep going back. You keep going back. You keep hammering those yards. I mean, we would fucking paint those yards like weekly.
Regularly,
and I mean,
yeah.
we would be there. Hey, let's get up at 6 in the morning. No gangsters are awake at 6 a.m. It's the ones that stayed up all
Unless
night.
it's the tweakers,
They
bro.
party all
Unless
night.
it's the
We gonna
tweakers.
sleep at 5 o'clock.
I mean,
Hey,
I mean,
this dude will tell you that's still my philosophy. I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
bro, we meet
Get
at
up
6
early.
a.m. Let's get it in.
You gotta
bro,
get
for
up
real.
early and get out before anybody's even looking for a dude doing graffiti.
Yeah.
And you know, we were just mostly looking to not get fucked up by the local
sure.
gang member guys. Oceanside,
5 in the
fuck,
morning,
man.
6 in the morning was the prime time.
Shit.
And we were just kids,
It was
you know
always
what I
something-
mean?
yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, bro,
Imagine
back
being
then,
17,
yeah.
little skinny little skater kid,
Yeah.
getting fucking hit up by some fucking essays that are already like 30.
Yeah,
Fuck.
for real.
You know that they didn't give a fuck.
Fools would come down and like bang on you like
Try to take your
100%.
paint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
to
man.
have pieces up there, they'd be like, "Oh shit, damn, Zane rocked that shit. Oh, Blame rocked that shit. Like, and
Yeah.
dude, that's on some hood ass shit." So they'd be like, "All right, respect. You know,
Yeah.
you did your thing over there. Then you know, you got some balls, basically. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?"
Oh man, there'd be like 20 people at Toll Bridge sometimes. I remember it'd be like all the music's homies. Say
Oh,
you
yeah,
guys, me
yeah.
and Demo, whoever.
For sure.
I mean, I've like been up there and I'm like, fuck, there's a lot of people at this yard.
Yeah.
You know, it's fun, good times. That's all
Yeah,
I can
it
say.
was good ass times for real.
Before we end this show, I wanted to just give a question now. So, Blaine, what
Yes, sir.
was your best album you ever made in your life?
Oh, that's a good question.
It's hard for me to say what's my best album because I kind of like would tie like a few of them, to be honest with you.
Top 3.
But top 3 would be Days Chasing Days.
Okay.
I love the album that I did with my bro Vex, who is no lie now. We have an album called The 34th Scroll.
Oh, that, yeah, I know Vex, man. That guy's dope as fuck.
That's the homie.
his
right
homie.
there.
He's still spitting.
Nah, not really. Not
Okay.
really. He's heavy on the graph though.
This dude,
Yeah,
got a,
yeah, and I know
he
that he
is
does
on a
photography
mission
a lot.
right now.
Yeah,
This guy.
He does a lot
photography.
of
He's big on the
photography.
photography.
Yeah.
That's his first love.
No, he's dope, man.
loves
He's
photography.
one of my inspirations too for North County.
Dude,
I was
that's-
like when I was listening to Apes of Graph.
Yeah,
Back in like
yeah.
2014, 15.
See?
His
All
shit
right.
was hard as fuck, man.
See,
Him
Vex?
with Found One.
Start rhyming again,
yeah,
fool.
hey, man, you gotta let him know, man.
Yeah,
bro, he's
that's
dope
my
as fuck.
brother. Like that dude.
And that's
is-
from one generation to the next. And
and,
from that one to the
and
next.
he's a young
Exactly.
buck. You know, for me, he's a young buck. You
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And that's my. I love that dude. You know what I'm saying? So that's probably like number 2. And then I'd probably say Walk in the Sun that I did with my boy J57.
Okay.
So those are probably my 3 that I would say like
Okay.
those are my favorites.
I'm
You
gonna
know.
listen to those religiously.
Yeah, definitely, man.
Please do.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
appreciate
So
it.
stream
for real.
them. Let's get them revenues in.
Well, the Days Chasing Days was my most known album. That's the album where I did the joint with Sean Price, and I
Okay.
have joints produced by Ono, who is Madlib's brother. I have joints produced by Black Milk. The list goes on. Exile is like one of my partners forever. And of Blue and Exile. Exile did like 5 joints on that album.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
So yeah.
That's dope as fuck.
And Zane, so what was your best place to hit up a spot? What was your, like, when you did a piece, when you did like, this is the one.
You know your favorite yard. You have to. There's already a yard in my head.
I already know. I already know what my favorite yard is.
If you don't say it, I'm gonna be so upset, bro.
They'd be like, Zane, where's your best piece at?
Bro,
where's it at?
I don't know where my best pieces are at, but my favorite spot that I know what he's thinking is probably Anthill.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Anthill is a yard. Coincidentally, me and Demo were driving around delivering flowers one day, and he needed to stop and take a piss. And we pull over, and he's walks over to the edge to take a leak, and he's like, dude, there's a fucking ditch right here. So I hop out the car and we look and we're like, oh shit, this is dope. Hey, you know what? But we're in a hurry. Let's come back after work. Anthill, for anybody listening, if they're not familiar, is probably, I mean, we painted it. I actually just did a piece there recently, and I put 30-year anniversary because I realized I was writing. When you're done,
it's still
you sign
your
right?
Okay.
You sign your name, put all your crews and whatever.
Yeah.
And I was putting 2024, and I was like thinking, fuck, how long have I been painting at this place? I was like, dude, the very first pieces were 1994. I was like, damn, that's 30 fucking years ago. A yard that has been, and it's such a neat spot because it's in the
People
country.
Still love it too.
It's in the country.
Writers.
And the younger kids today, they take care of it. They don't leave their trash. They don't. We would maintain that yard really well for a long time. And now the next generations like CK and the CMRs and the OCP. All the younger kids that are painting today, dude. They really, I like going there sometimes just to soak in the vibe.
Soak in the vibe.
Because you'll be out there like on a day like today. What is it, like 100 degrees today? Dude, we would be at the Anthill. And the reason it was called the Anthill, in case anybody wonders, dude, the very first day we painted, it's a, they're tunnels. So they would have water in them, and then water gets moss. And then the water dries up in the summer, and then the moss dries. Okay, imagine years and years and years of this, right? This shit was super thick, like the stuff you put in your house. Yeah. What's that shit you put in your attic? Insulation. It was so thick, it was like insulation. You could walk on it and bounce on it, and you'd be like, what the fuck is this? Dude, we pulled it back, and it was like, billions probably, because it was so big. It was like some shit you see in a movie. Red ants, the biggest, craziest looking red ants you ever saw, were underneath all this, and we were like, what the fuck is this? We go to paint. We would literally, all of us in the very beginning, would bring these huge cans of Raid. We would go rack fucking ant spray because there was like a little bit of sand in there. Dude, these ants would attack you. I'm no joke, bro. They would fucking climb all over you. So you would take like a little trench, make like a little trench wherever you're standing, with your finger, just kind of make like a little ditch and spray the bug spray in it so it was like a moat. So they couldn't get across the moat to you.
That's
you know what they would do? These fucking ants would crawl up the walls and jump off onto you. It was like, what the fuck? And then one day,
get this motherfucker,
Hey, and then one day, they were all gone. They were just gone. And we were like, but we used to call it the anthill because we were like, this is the biggest anthill I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. It was like fucking scary big. Shit you see, like in Indiana Jones where they fucking carry you down a little hole. It was some shit like that. Yeah. But Anthill is the shit. I remember when we went painting there not too long ago.
Yeah, me and Zane painted there maybe 5-6 years ago.
A couple years ago, these guys ran again. Let's go paint Anthill. Anthill's the shit. It's where all North County writers can just come and chill and fucking paint. Yeah. Dude, there was a lady running a taco shop on top of it now. I was like, what the fuck?
Smart. That is smart.
Dude, I was coming out of the tunnel the last time I painted there. And I'm trying to be all stealth. I'm 51, dude. I'm not trying to get arrested. I cannot go to jail again. I just cannot be in any trouble. So I'm super nervous about painting yards, especially around here.
Well, too late. 5-0. I'm right here with Zane right now.
Dude, and I'm like, what is this noise? What is this? What's going on over there? Dude, and I get up and there's all these fucking people. And there's a lady ordering fucking tacos or selling tacos. There's people chilling, having horchatas and shit. And I'm like, what the fuck? You can have a business at a yard?
That's crazy.
It was crazy.
But she gotta sell paint with those, bro.
Right? Hey, she can sell paint. You literally could go paint the yard,
So did you get tacos?
No, our
Oh,
car
it's
pulled
like-
up. I dipped. I was like, hey, I cannot get. I'm on some like future goal stuff in my own personal life right
I bet
now.
you they're fired though.
You know, I'm sure they were. I'm sure they're super good, but I'm definitely not trying to take any chances, man. I'm getting my ducks in a row. I'm trying to I'm in a later stage of my life, so I'm looking towards retirement. I'm trying to see what I'm going to be doing at 65. What am I going to be doing here? I love my store. I think it's dope. Street Life's been around for 24 years right now.
24 years,
So
man.
next year, and this
Crazy,
store
bro.
has spawned so many other fucking things that are active today. You know, other stores, other people
Craft
who've started
stores
like
and stuff, too.
Even young artists, man.
They're artists, dude. Everyone we're having a huge ass art show next month, dude. You gotta come. How did
Where's
I
the
not
art
tell
show
you?
going to be at?
It's right next door at the art gallery. It's on July 13th. It's called
July
Cali Stilo,
13th.
and basically what we're trying to do is we take all local artists from here to Oceanside, tattoo, graffiti, photography, anything that's street art oriented. And we
Should
do.
we-
Addict is spinning. Addict is the DJ.
When's
Active
the
will be there.
premiere of
Should-
it or
should we
whatever?
bring,
July
should we
13th.
live
July
the
gotta
podcast on there
Okay.
or what?
Lowrider cars, fucking every.
We
dude,
gotta roll through to that.
Dude,
yeah.
it's so fun. Hey, last year they kind of were like, hey, I've been next to this art gallery for 15 fucking years, and I've been trying to get art shows there, and they've always blowing me off. They're always like, whatever, you're not shit. You
They're
ain't doing
like,
nothing.
we're artists. I'm
Ah,
sorry.
yeah. There's
You
always
all-
that
he's
disconnect
been an
between
artist
art and
next door
graffiti.
for the
Yo,
whole
Zane,
time.
so should we bring the podcast to that art
Dude,
show?
that would be super fucking sick, dude.
That'll be
Yeah.
fucking
It's
dope.
next month. It's gonna be big. I mean, and you're gonna have a lot of different elements
Are you
going
hosting
on
the
there.
art show?
Yeah.
You-
And
okay,
so
should we bring the podcast?
Bring
there?
it all over there.
Of course.
And bring
Yeah.
it over, and they'll set you up in a whole spot where you can
Yeah,
interview
we're doing a
artists. You can
podcast at the art
interview
show.
That'd
fans
be
of.
That'd
dope.
be dope.
Yeah.
You know,
dope.
you can.
That'd be
Addict
dope.
will be there. Active will be there. Tango might be there. 'Cause I don't know.
Sounds
if
like a
Tango-
moment.
That's why we have Addict as the main guy, because I don't think Tango
Yeah, I
might
know
make it.
DJ
He'll
One, I know
orchestrate
those.
who's
Yeah.
gonna
I
be
know
there.
they're
though.
OG
Yeah.
DJs from North Carolina.
Yeah, they're all,
run,
that's why we try to
Black
stay
Flag.
involved. Like say, like
Yeah,
you know,
Addict's the homie.
some dudes are, you know, they write graph and that's all they do. You know,
Yeah.
Some dudes fucking rap and do graph and fucking no
Facts.
breakers and fucking do this. You know, I'm the
Right,
kind of
right.
guy who I know a lot of different kinds of people. So if I'm like, we're gonna have lowrider cars, we're gonna have we're gonna have DJs, we're gonna have graffiti artists, we're gonna have tattoo artists.
Yeah.
You know, there's all these
We're
different.
gonna be there
There's
for
all
sure.
these different elements that we try
We're
to
gonna
put
be there
together.
for sure.
Oh, I got a
And
plan.
it's Cali Style, which is, you know,
Yeah.
Cali Stilo. And last year's show was kind of an experiment, and it went really well. And so they were like, dude, we want to do this again next year. And so here we are.
And what days are on
Hell
again?
yeah.
July 13th, it's a Saturday. It's the second Saturday of July. It starts probably
I
around
got a
3
plan.
o'clock.
If you let us
It's
do
probably a
Live the
3 to
Moment
8
there podcast,
kind of
we
show.
can make something out for sure.
Who knows? Maybe someone will fucking
Yeah.
they'll have a plug-in with a mic, and someone over here. Hey,
Yeah.
my very first solo art show I ever had, probably the only one I ever had, was in LA. It was in Pomona at
Yeah.
GCS. And I had fucking Green Lantern
Yeah.
was the DJ,
Oh,
and Blame
shit.
One came and performed at my art show. And I
Oh,
had
that's so
chicks.
sick,
I did
dog.
body painting on chicks with their tits and
Hey.
all their shit.
Yeah.
We fucking, I mean, it was like a show. There was art, there
That's
was music,
dope.
there was everything. I
And you
tried
printed the Graph Kings
Remember,
T-shirt
that's
for
when we
me.
premiered the Graph King shirt.
So I had
Which
I
was
was
a-
on a compilation called Graffiti Kings, and on the compilation, this is 2002. 2Max, Pete Rock was on there with Spinderella. Few heads on the vinyl, and I made the vinyl, and Zane actually printed a shirt that had my lyrics
We
on the
wrote
back.
all the lyrics out by hand.
I
Scanned
wish
it.
I had that
Oh, I
fucking
wish I had
shirt,
that.
bro. I don't
Graph
have it, and it
Kings.
said Graph Kings on the front. It was so
Blame
fire.
One, Street Life collab. I've done a lot of collabs with artists. I love doing collabs with other stores. I like doing collabs with other artists.
Bro, that was 23 fucking years ago.
was a
bro.
long time
That's
ago.
Insane.
I
Yeah.
was 23 years ago. I was 11 years old.
That is
Well, there you go. If you would have came to our show,
crazy.
it would have blew your mind, probably. I mean, it was everything you could want in a fucking
It was
situation.
popping too.
It was popping,
It was
man.
popping, yeah.
It was awesome.
It was dope.
I mean, I was like, holy shit, dude! I want to be an artist for real, dude. Like, this is the life I want to live.
Yeah, it was.
And that's
that
what
was
I've
a good
basically been
event.
doing with my store. You know, it's fun. You're getting paid to do art.
Street life. That's been your thing for many
Yeah.
years, right?
Yeah.
And to this day, what is the meaning of street life to you?
Well, you know
Don't go
what?
full Easy E on us.
Yeah,
and shit
no.
either.
You know, life changes. So when I started my shop, I was in my 20s. And in my 20s, my mindset was of a 20-something-year-old guy.
Street life.
I was married. I had a kid. I was super nervous about literally like, okay, I'm about to quit my job and start a store. My kid was like 6 months old. My kid now is my main printer. He's my photographer. He's he's my right hand guy.
Yeah,
you know, now he's an adult. But at the time,
young man, I should say.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I'm so proud of him. And but when you start some shit like this, you're like, well, you know, we'll do this, and if it doesn't work out, then I'll just get another job. And then a quarter century later, like I'm right now, my whole mind is about next year's 25 anniversary drop. 25 years, I'm making skateboards, I'm making shirts and jerseys and hats and shit because I want people to go. Can you imagine telling your parents, I am quitting my job and I'm going to open a store? I sell markers. And remember, earlier in this episode, I was telling you how when you came to my house was like the store because I had so much paint. So, dude, we had a friend who worked at a like a Staples, but not Staples. It was like a mom and pop one.
Yeah.
And they had streakers. So I would go in, and he would be the guy behind the counter. It was Diro.
Oh, okay.
And I would order, like, say, 3 boxes of every color streaker. And he would write the order down and stamp it paid and put it in the order. Then they would call me up like 2 weeks later and be like, hey, your order's here. And I would come in, here's my receipt showing that it's paid, and I'd pick up streakers. Damn. And we would do this like every 2 weeks. I mean, we had hundreds. Can you imagine having hundreds and hundreds of streakers in like 1993? That was like amazing to us back then.
Wow.
And so I would split them with him. So by the time I opened the store, I was just bringing stuff from my house because I had so much inventory. So I had a scam where I was getting Krylon cans for 50 cents at Walmart. I had this like UPC code that I had these stickers made that looked exactly like the UPC code on the side of a Krylon can. So I would get sodas and different shit from my house, and I'd put up boxes of paint, and they just, hey, 6 black, boop, $3, whatever, boop, white, and I'd bring them to Street Life and sell them for $3.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I mean, I was racking shit, and so like this whole store, my life has revolved all completely around this store, and I'm trying to like get past that because I don't want this to be my end all. I want to keep it going of doing different things.
Legacy,
but I mean, it's
for the time being that is up, people gotta come and check it out. It's on Grand and Juniper.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Guys open from what time?
I'm usually here like 9 in the morning till whenever. You know, sometimes we were here last night till fucking who knows when.
9
I'm telling you, I went to sleep at 6 in the morning before I fucking did this
Make sure
podcast.
you guys check it out.
So
it's
for
a staple.
we have,
you have
paint here for those who want to do graffiti. He has got all here. He's got markers. If you want to do merchandise, he has all that as well.
Yeah.
Check out Zane's shop right here on Grand Juniper. Street Light has been here for 25 years, you said?
24 right now.
24 years.
24. Yeah.
So for those who don't know, come check it out.
And the name is like crazy to me because I'm
Juniper.
like Street Life. Ugh. When I see transients, that's the real Street Life. I'm like, fuck that shit. I should have chose a different name because. But we used to sell wire wheels for fucking lowriders. We used to sell the knockoff hammers, lowrider, Little Rob, Mr. Sancho, all those fucking rappers. Those I don't even know what you call that. That Mexican style rap. Dude, they would come to the shop to deliver their fucking orders. We would order them, and they would be the guys that would drop them off. And so you could come in and you would see fucking whoever.
Let me tell you one thing about Zane and his shop before he concludes the Street Life thing. The thing that I've always noticed about Street Life, so people might wonder, like, okay, well, like, how do you survive, like, just doing a shop? Let me tell you something about Zane. He is very multi-talented. So people will come in here into the shop. This is a hub not only for him to sell product, it's a hub for his relations, which goes back to what we were talking about earlier as being like community based. People will come in here, hey, I would love for you to paint the window of my store. Okay, boom, I'm gonna work something out.
Some stuff like
could you do a pair of shoes for my kids, or can you paint this jacket?
I see you paint a car and RV and stuff.
Almost every time I've been in the shop, I've seen someone come in here and converse with Zane, asking him like, hey, like, could you possibly like do this for me? And they work something out. And so he's multi-talented in that respect. And so this is a business, but it's also a hub for other business for Zane.
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah, no, thank you. I never really put it together
No,
like that. But yeah, no, I have painted some weird ass shit here.
Your work in Escondido is very much appreciated because We drive through a lot of places throughout there, and we see those murals. I didn't know that was your mural right here on Center City and
dude,
Grand.
I'm on it right now.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, I'm in the zone.
I'm like, I don't know who that was, and I appreciate it because since my life when I was a kid, I see that every single day.
Is to have so many walls on this strip right here, and they're not that they're all by me, but I want them to be. Dude, I'm painting a wall the other night with so we're projecting some artwork on a wall. I'm tracing it all out. Me and my kid are doing some shit, and the fucking mayor rolls up and is like, "What's up, Zane? What are you doing?" and I'm like, the mayor, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, "Damn, dude, just not even that many years ago, I was getting arrested, and I was constantly under the fucking thumb of the cops. These cops, they hated me. They were like, because they don't look at me as just a piece of shit, which that's what they thought, but they look at this store as a huge problem because you're inspiring kids to want to be like you. Oh, you want kids to go right all over your town or whatever? And I'm like, no, I don't. I want kids to be awesome artists. I want to spread the art out, but not, if someone do you go to a gun store and arrest the fucking owner of the gun store when someone buys a gun and kills somebody with it? No, it's not his fault. Each person is responsible for their own thing. But it's just so crazy that throughout all these years, I'm chilling now. Dude, they had an unveiling of a mural I did recently, and a senator was fucking there, dude. Yes, fucking local senator. They gave me a certificate saying, "Hey, because you're such a good member of your community." And I'm like, dude, I used to get fucking followed around by they used to park across the street and just stare at us. And dude, I'm telling you, people have gotten tickets for an open container just walking from here to the trash can. They would fuck with us so much. Dude, there would be cruising grands where the cops would stand literally in front of my doors where no one could come in. And it's not that they couldn't come in, but I would tell the cops, "Hey, why do you got to stand right here?" "Well, why? Is there a problem with me standing here?" And I'm like, "But no one's gonna come in if you're here." "Well, why would they not come in? Do you have criminal customers and they're afraid of the police?" And I'm like, "Dude, why are you being a fucking dick, man?" They did that for a month, man. 1 month. And so I've always had these issues with the local people and this and that. And I'm like, dude, I'm not a bad guy. You just think what I do is wrong, and really the rest of the world is like, this is the shit. Only now they're barely catching on to it. And like I said, dude, the mayor will stop and see what I'm doing. Council members, dude, other police officers now that are super cool with me because they know I steer kids. I'm one of those dudes that's like, hey, if a little kid comes into or not a little kid, but let's say a 13-year-old kid comes into the shop and he's interested in graffiti art and he skateboards and he's doing, think where you're hanging out in the street, right? I can tell immediately this kid is going to be a dope artist, or this kid's going to be a gang member, or this kid's going to be a crackhead, or whatever the fuck it is. And I try to steer them in the direction of like, well, what are you trying to do with your life? I know you're a kid and you're just having fun, but hey, bro, you tell me you're getting faded and you're 13, like, dude, that ain't cool. It's like, don't be doing that, I not like I'm a counselor or nothing, but I literally care about the people who come here. Yeah. And now, dude, the store's been open for so long. I have friends whose kids are, 50. Dude, I have friends who are grandparents now, and they bring their grandkids here. That's crazy. And they'll be like, hey, if you see my kid around, keep an eye on him or whatever. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, for sure, I got you, man. If I see your kid out here fucking wilding out, I'm gonna let you know, bro. Because you don't, it's not cool to see people's kids doing fucked up shit. Even though we've done fucked up shit ourselves, it's so weird when you become an older person
and you see somebody do that,
and the things that you used to think weren't cool are the things you're doing now. Because you want to be a good person and you want to help other people out, but when you were a kid, you're like, "Fuck that," And here you are, you're just trying to be a good dude,
100%.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I really appreciate y'all coming in to live in the moment, man.
Thanks for having us,
honestly,
man. Stoked you came, dude.
Stoked you came, bro. I'm glad you invited me, bro.
Hey, Blame and Zane, man. The fucking the tradition continues.
Man, for real. Here, let me give Daps a round.
That's right. For spitting that fucking rhyme right then.
Today was definitely learned a lot about you guys' history, about what y'all did.
Where can people find your music, Blame?
I mean, any of the platforms, Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff. Just type in Blame One and you're good to go.
And then check out the albums he mentioned earlier.
Hey, will it pop up on my Instagram when I'm trying to add a song to a photo?
Hey, please.
Check out Blame One on Spotify and iTunes. You can find him there. Look it up. He's got so much this art photography. He's got all the music, man. If you love hip hop,
Real
that
hip-hop
raw
shit.
underground shit, Lane One's the guy to go
If
for.
you see him
man.
on the
Appreciate
street,
that,
tell him
man.
what's up. 'cause he
Yeah,
will
he's
talk
super
to
chill
you.
guy.
I'm talking
And then-
to you.
He's the
Zane
nicest
here.
guy.
Zane here, been doing this for 25 years, street life. If you into
This is
graffiti,
that guy, man.
you like art, you want to inspire yourself to become a better artist in graffiti art, and you live in North County, hit up Zane here, man. He'll
And
help
if
out.
you want
He's the
graffiti
one that-
merch,
all
he
that
got
stuff.
panel.
Yep.
What are they called? The
Pendletons.
Pendletons.
Yeah, you want to step
We
your
got-
grown man.
we
We
got
call that
graffiti.
stepping up your grown man game.
Hey,
Yeah,
and
step up the grown man
More
game,
than
please.
anything, come over here and soak up some game from this
Soak
dude,
up some
bro.
game,
like,
bro.
for real.
It's
yeah.
over here on Juniper and Grand.
Grand.
You know what I mean? So he's always down to
County.
chop it up, always down to talk
If
to
you're
you
from Diego,
guys.
come up to North County too, bro. Stop
Exactly.
You know
playing.
what?
Get
I
out
love
of
it when we get people from San Diego, from LA.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
people have come from faraway places,
Yeah.
and it's a humbling sort of situation when someone comes up to you and they're like, "Man, you know, I follow your page and I love your stories or whatever."
Right,
you know?
right.
And you know what? Fuck, it does make you feel good, you know.
That's great.
And it's
Yeah.
like, hey, it makes you
It's
feel like you at
lifetime.
least made a difference in someone's life.
Yeah.
You know,
For
like,
sure,
hey,
yeah.
dude, this was dope. It wasn't for nothing, you know.
Yeah. Well,
Without
thank
a
you
doubt.
so much, guys, for tuning in. This is Living the Moment, episode 4, here live at Street Life with Zane, Blame One, Curse, and C's. We're gonna wrap it up here, but thank you so much, guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it,
you so
man.
Thank you.
much.
For real.
Thank
We're
you.
gonna link
Respect.
everything here, all the links with Blame's music as well for Zane. You can see all their history, all the music if you're into it. Check the links below. But guys, thank you so much. We're tuned for the next episode. This is Living the Moment, episode 4, live in Street Live Escondido. See you guys next time. Peace out, y'all. We out here.
Yes, sir.
Dope.